Running Sentences presents One Dead Man, Part 9. Body doubles and assassins and everything else. Things go from bad to worse for Nate and Charles as the puzzling situation of death and body doubles being murdered continues to follow them around as they explore. This story is written and narrated by Michael Horry. This story is a work of fiction, so any names, characters, businesses, events, and situations within this story are products of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to real people, situations, characters, businesses, events, and/or fictional businesses, characters, events is purely coincidental. Copyright 2026, Michael Horry, all rights reserved. Charles did his best to swim in the ocean water that now surrounded him. His senses from that tumble over the deck were not that great, and they were a dizzy array that wouldn't tell him up from down. The splash of things going past him, which he could only guess were bullets, gave him some idea of where things were, and that he was, in fact, underwater. Swimming up didn't sound like exactly a great idea with those bullets coming down. Staying down when his lungs were already starting to hurt, equally bad. He found himself swimming hard to get away from where the bullets were hitting, hoping that he could come up nearer to the boat, but not in the line of sight. As the light flickered on, they spotted a dead, fat, dying man on the ground. Things, though, didn't look quite right to Nate and/or this man who'd saved him. Nate, for his part, was staring at the sight for more than a minute, trying to assess what it was. The other man now went right into the room and right over to the man, and then tisked at the sight he saw before him.
Is, he wearing a, fat suit?
You noticed that things looked off about him, and yes, from what I can see, he's a body double in a fat suit.
Well, the way things looked, sort of limp and not quite how one would expect, it gives away that, something is weird here,
Nate said. This man who'd saved him nodded to this and then turned to the door, leaving that wounded and dying man on the ground. He flicked off the lights, and then this man turned to him, pushing him to make sure that he could close the door. Nothing we can do here anymore.
You're leaving? You said you wanted to go find the leader.
Well, I searched the ship and found only you and that dying guy, not who I was looking for, so time to go before I'm discovered doing things I should not be doing.
Oh, I should come with you then?
The man gave him a very quizzical look, which made Nate wonder if his head, or body, or mind had something terribly wrong with it. He didn't think so, and returned the look to this man. If you want to live, yes, come with me, and hopefully we can go pick up your friend Charles. That is, if he went overboard and managed to survive potentially getting shot. A smart man would, but, you two don't really fit that bill, do you?
I don't like that you're calling me dumb.
Despite saying this, Nate was hurrying off after the man, knowing fully well he was never going to get an apology. This man was rapidly marching away. Being alive, though, for Nate, was important, and not being sent to prison, that would probably make all of this worth it. The speedboat had been loosed from the yacht and very quietly puttered off to the side. Nate kept a watchful eye on the big ship and any activity up on the decks, but somehow they went unnoticed. He wasn't going to complain, but the man driving the boat wasn't making fast for the coastline. Nope, they were driving lazily about.
Well, we should go, shouldn't we?
You don't want to wait for your friend?
The guards aboard that ship are going to suspect something is weird with us and shoot at us as a result. I don't think waiting around looking for Charles is a good idea.
Nonsense. It is helping us. They aboard the ship think that we're helping them search. If we left right away, that would make them suspicious. Instead, searching and then grabbing a friend, hopefully it grabs us, a few moments of peace and quiet.
We're gonna get chased around by speedboats, aren't we?
A splashing noise came from the port side of their vessel, and for a moment Nate tried to figure out which side was which. He gave up. A hand had grabbed the side and up hoisted Charles all by himself, who was then promptly helped by the man, this sort of savior that had saved Nate aboard the yacht. Nate, though, stared a moment longer at the sight of his friend, who had a scowl on his face and was soaking all over. "You set me up, Humbert." "No, not really. I let you do what you were going to do." Charles then looked about and frowned. "You said the country's leader was aboard. Where is he?" "We were lied to. I was lied to. He wasn't aboard. It was another body double," Humbert said. "You two know each other?" The words were out of Nate's mouth as he was trying to think of something or anything to say. He had lots of questions and worries buzzing about his mind, and that question was not on the top of the list. "Huh? Oh, hi, Nate. Yes, I know this man who claims to be a secret agent for another government. Said his name was Humbert, and that he wanted me to help him out." "How are you so calm?" "I'm not, Nate. I'm freezing cold, and I want answers. I do fear, though, that those soldiers from the yacht, or whatever they were, guards, or special ops people, I don't know, they're on that yacht, and they're probably going to start shooting soon," Charles growled. Humbert was ahead of them, having gone over to the steering wheel and controls. With a grin, he waved for them to sit down as he pushed the throttle forward. Both did sort of sit, but this mostly came because the gunshots were now ringing the air as the boat thrust its nose into the air. They were not struck by any of the bullets nor chased by any of the other boats, a fact that Charles considered very weird, but let go since they were pulling into the dock. It was quiet up there, and the three clambered off the boat to look about as evening had set in. "So, what are we going to do now, Mr. Humbert? Your plan didn't work out, and now Mr. Gino seems to be well aware of the fact that people are plotting against him," Charles said. "Do we even know what he's up to, this Gino?" The question from Nate went unanswered as the sound of footsteps were coming down the dock towards them. They all looked that way to see uniformed soldiers coming their way. "Maybe they will know, Nate," Charles replied. "Soldiers never know anything, that is, unless they're high up in the chain of command, and judging from who's coming to say hello, I doubt it will be any of them." One of the soldiers came forward and came to a stop in front of them, gun at the ready, but not pointed at them yet. "Mr. Nate and Charles?" "Yes, that is me and Charles, and then that is me and this guy. I'm the Charles, though," Charles replied as he pointed out him and his friend. "We have a request to escort you back to our encampment."
"Oh, if it is Gino, I will tell you that man is out to do some harm to this country."
"It is not him, Mr. Nate. If you two and you, sir, follow us to the truck, the matter will be cleared up quickly. Don't, and well, we have our orders." "Best to do what he says. It's what you two always do anyway," Humbert said with a smirk. Not bothering to respond to that barb from Humbert, Charles and Nate began walking down the dock to the waiting truck, filled with soldiers who looked ready to guard them at any cost. It didn't take too long to be driven to an encampment and to stop just past the entrance of the place. It was guarded by barbed wire and soldiers staring out into the distance with boredom. The three were helped/pushed off the back of this truck and then were instantly greeted by Major Kilroy and Sergeant York, neither looking pleased to see them. "You two are in a lot of trouble," the Major announced.
"It isn't our fault. You can blame Gino for all of this."
"I agree. It is all that man's fault."
"Who are you, sir?"
Sergeant York asked. "My name is Humbert, and I work for various people." "That makes no sense. Why were you with these two?"
"Major, I believe. We were attempting to find the leader of this country aboard that yacht out there. No luck on that, by the way."
"Did you find anything aboard that boat, Humbert?" Charles asked.
"A weird-looking body double."
Nate said it before Humbert could, so the agent nodded along at that. I should clarify that I have immunity and I'm here to help your people, so you haven't actually arrested me or these two, okay? Why would we be okay with that, Mr. Humbert? The sergeant asked. He's going to pull a rabbit out of his hat and tell you where he thinks the leader is, aren't you, Humbert? Well, I have my suspicions on where he may be. So yes, Charles. So I'll need people to go get him. Oh, you're that, Humbert. You're told to watch out for the likes of you. By the government or someone else, Major? Humbert asked this as he got close to Major Kilroy, who then had to take a step back and frown at the man. Sergeant York then did get between them and tried to glare the man down, but it didn't seem to be having much effect on him. Interesting parties is all you need to know, Mr. Humbert, Sergeant York offered stiffly. I hate to be the one to bring this silliness to a point, and feel free to keep arguing, but shouldn't we be more focused on finding our dear leader, or whoever it is that, is being killed repeatedly? I'm with Charles on this. Come on, Humbert, you had an idea of where he is? The sergeant and major both kept glaring towards Humbert, who didn't seem to mind at all. In fact, he was looking around, trying to get his bearings, on where they might need to go. Where is the far side of this island? I can't get a direction because you didn't really let me see out of the sides of the truck or out the back. I take it we're still near town or something like that? Oh, we are. Where is he? Sergeant York asked. If it isn't another body double tucked away to fool everyone, a small little fishing village on the other side of the island, hidden away somewhere amongst the shacks. I should guess that's where he is. It's an abandoned place, though. You don't know where exactly? Charles, if I knew, I would already have sent people there to get him. We would have ended all of this madness much sooner. I'm going to butt in here, but you, sir, aren't exactly believable. And why would that be, Sergeant? Is it because I talk too fast for your liking? It's because you haven't presented any evidence that what you're saying might be true. If you could present that or anything on Mr. Gino, then me and my soldiers will definitely act, Mr. Humbert, Major Kilroy added. Well, I don't have anything written down or any evidence on me. It would be foolish to run around with such things if I got caught by the wrong people. The Major sighed. Well, I guess we'll have to go find out what's over there just to be safe. Okay, Sergeant? It's better to check out all of the angles while we see what this Gino is up to and what actions he's going to do. If he really isn't to be trusted in the first place. Sergeant York gave the Major a cold look, but offered a crisp salute to him. Yes, sir. Good. Mr. Humbert, take these men and lead the way with a couple of soldiers, and the sergeant here, to make sure that things are going and being done quickly. The sergeant will know how to do the search with the soldiers. Having only spent a few minutes off of the truck, Nate, Charles, and Humbert were then turned and went right back onto it, along with York, who joined them. She looked very displeased as they all climbed up and in. The soldiers disembarked from the truck, this time at an open field where a road came to a sudden stop. They had some equipment that they fetched out, turning on some bright lights and moving around in a semicircle under the sergeant's orders, and began searching the area. Nate and Charles stood off to the side, making sure that they didn't get in the way, while giving Humbert a few odd looks. What is with that look, gentlemen? Humbert asked. You're generally a few steps ahead of all of us, but have led us to nowhere. The road ended back there, yet you kept the driver driving. We weren't close enough, Nate. Care to explain what you mean by that? Pretend we're idiots so we don't understand things, which I'm sure isn't too hard to do. Still, some explanation would be nice. Charles requested. The closer we get to the old village, the easier it will be to find the leader and get him out of there. You don't want to have to hike in and then hike out with a big fat man, do you, Charles? No, but I also will point out that we can't see this old village, so we still have to hike to it. Yes, but it is closer now. With flashlights cutting through the darkening evening, the group began marching across this field towards the horizon, Humbert taking the lead to direct them where he wanted them to go. It took them a few minutes to find this shore and those shacks, or what was left of them, that made up this little village. The group came to a stop at the edge of the woods not far from this cliffs and the sandy beach that lay below. They were hiding a bit in this tree line as they watched the fairly well-lit-up little group of buildings that was there. "What's going on there, Mr. Humbert?" Sergeant York demanded to know. "Well, if I had to guess, it's with the leader or another of his body doubles is being stored for assassination, storage. I don't know what they're doing to these bodies." "Why would they be doing this?" If I have to guess, and you're asking me to guess, to confuse the whole matter and make people unsure of what's going on. If you don't know what they're doing, then your enemy certainly won't know either, Mr. Nate. So, you're their enemy right now? None of that matters. We need to get a close interview. That's what your soldiers are here for, Miss York, Charles said to Sergeant York. We are an assault team that makes things blow up. None of us does stealth. A good second option to have in order to get our people out when we get them in trouble, Humbert said, though nobody was listening to him. It is not going to be me or Charles going in there, Humbert. Yes, it is. I can't go, and the soldiers can't go, and that leaves you two. We'll probably be captured, and why can't you go? Charles asked. And I can't go because, well, nobody will believe me, and, it just gets weird. But anyway, if you go in, we can go in and rescue you after the situation resolves. This simplifies matters greatly, as we already know what we're going to get, and these forces, if they're against us, will show their strength. Right, Sergeant? Humbert said, prattling on like he was pleased with himself. I have to agree with the man. You two going in would be a much safer option for all of us. I don't trust Humbert, so I'm not sending him in, so you two are our only option. I doubt that. I'll echo Nate's sentiments that this is not the safer option. You've been outvoted, Charles. Get moving towards those shacks. The two glowered at the sergeant as Nate took the lead, crouching down through the tall grass and heading towards these buildings. The well-lit shacks came into view quicker than either of them would have liked. Charles found himself with his back to the closest buildings that they'd encountered as they waited and listened for things. The window was above them, and they were well lit, but no sounds were coming out. What are we doing, Charles? I don't know. Getting called up like always? We really should have just run away when we had that chance. I never had the chance to run away. When did you have that opportunity? On the yacht. The sound of footsteps across the gravel brought their attention away from that conversation and towards that noise. Charles realized far too late that they hadn't exactly been quiet while talking. Who is there? A voice called out. The two shared a bit of a look with one another. Then, with a shrug, they both stood up. The man who'd come around the building to find them had a submachine gun strapped to their chest, with his hand on the grip. That would be us, Charles said. We're looking for the dear leader, or whoever it is you happen to have who wears a puke yellow shirt. What are you talking about? The guard stammered. Kindly do not point that gun at us, Mr. Guard. We are only here to sneak in and find the leader of this country and then sneak out with him. He may be terrible or the greatest thing ever, whichever side you fall on. We don't really care. We want to see him. So if you could take him to us, Charles said. The guard, with a rather confused expression on his face, shifted the gun so it was now pointing at them. You two shut up. No can do. We need to talk to your leader. And or the country's leader, if you would be so kind, or whoever it is you happen to have trapped here.
Let's not push our luck, Charles. I said shut up, you two. What's going on over there, Keith?
A new voice called out.
Two snoopers looking to causing us trouble?
Another figure emerged from around the shack, this one with no gun on them, at least that they could see. This figure stopped, put their hands on their hips, and stared back at the group.
What do they want? They said something about a leader,
the guard named Keith said.
Your leader, or the leader of this country, who we believe is here, or hidden here,
or just anyone at this point.
Would be nice to see them,
Charles said.
Why would we hide him?
This second man asked.
We were told he might be here. If he isn't, take us to whoever is the leader of this little encampment so we can hear it from them,
Nate said.
You two aren't going anywhere,
the guard called Keith said.
Charles let out a long sigh at the man who was called Keith. Normally I would agree with you. Lately I would especially agree with you with the way our last week, or 2 weeks, or however long it's been, has been going. But we did bring backup, and they'll start a mess once they see us go down. And we'll take you somewhere else where they won't see,
the second guard said.
Then do that, but they'll still come in here and blow the place down, just like the wolf and those 3 little piggies, and how that story goes. The 2 guards looked to one another, confused, but didn't do anything. It took a moment before a quiet decision was apparently reached. The one with the gun waved it towards them in a sort of move-it motion.
I don't think we understand what you're trying to say, or do we trust you?
Or we don't really understand it, but follow us. Oh, are we going to?
Charles started to say, but was cut off by the other guard.
Shut up and get moving, mister. You want answers? Then walk. You want to talk? Then you can stay here and learn nothing.
Oh, we'll be walking then, I guess.
The one who'd shouted at them and didn't have a visible gun shook his head and stormed off ahead of them. They were taken onto a small beaten path between these shacks, which turned out to be quite a lot of buildings. The island had a sloping hill that went downward towards that shore and beach, which had a few run-down docks next to it. There's actually quite a lot of these types of houses put up on this hill, and going all the way down towards the shore. This place is weird. The houses, you mean?
Charles questioned.
Yeah, they're all taken care of, yet this place is abandoned? We aren't going to get answers from either of these two, and no one else seems to want to answer anything around here, so it might be best not to think about it. They looked at the shacks as they went past, each of them lit up to some extent, but there was no movement from inside. So, do you think they're going to take us all the way down to the shore, or do we stop at one of these houses along the way? All the way down, of course. There's no way this will be a simple, easy thing. The guard with the gun, who was behind them, poked it into Charles's back for saying this. Stop mumbling and keep walking. Definitely headed all the way down. They wound up going near the end of the hill, where it turned to a rocky ground and a little bit of a beach. Not quite all the way, but close to it. They stopped before one of the houses, then had its door open, light spilling out. Go in there,
the one without a gun ordered them to do.
You know, we have people watching us, and if we don't come out in a certain time... Yeah, we will see about that. Now go in, you're the ones you wanted to talk. True enough. After you, Nate? Fuck you. You go first, Charles. If both of you don't go, I'll shoot and be done with both of you,
the guard named Keith declared.
That was enough of a threat to make them both hurry up to the front door, both trying to peer in and give up on that when the bright light was just way too much, and then stepped through that door one by one, Charles slightly leading. A well-lit room came into view once they could see again.
It was just the one big room with a big lantern sitting on the table, its light on full blast toward the door. There was a figure sitting on the other side of it, covered in the shadows of something that cut off the light from reaching them, as the lantern did not have a full 360 blast of light. "Are you the dear leader everyone has been talking about? We need them to get out of this mess." Charles raised a hand to block the light from his eyes and was trying to see around the lantern as he said this. It wasn't doing much good. "And if you aren't them, could you direct us to where that person might potentially be?" "Why have two fools fallen into my lap?" this person responded. The female-sounding voice caught them off guard, and they looked harder at the shadows. It did nothing, but Charles felt good to at least try and do it. Because someone is trying to set us up. We have done nothing wrong, but somehow, or someone, is trying to make the assassinations of body doubles our problem. And potentially whoever it is that they're really trying to kill. Nate interrupted. "Why would I have anything to do with that, you two?" We don't know, but you're linked to it. So here we are trying to find our dear leader. Or whoever it is that we can find, I guess. How am I linked to such events, gentlemen? Well, we had a secret agent from another country tell us that our leader was here, or his body double was here. So, we came here to find them, turn them over to the government, and clear our name, miss. Yeah, so hand them over and we will be on our way. This figure, who turned out to be rather tall, stood up, though they were still very much covered in shadows. "I don't have your dear leader, or a body double, or for that matter, anyone who looks like them." "You know, Nate, I kind of figured that was coming." "Yeah, I completely suspected that was going to happen. So what do we do now?" "Well, the people following us are going to tear this place apart, searching for the leader when they see that we haven't found anything. So, we just walk away?" "What's this about you being followed?" the person draped in shadows asked. The military is on the lookout for the person we're talking about. They've been following us about trying to find him by sending us first to find him and then cleaning up any mess behind them or creating the mess in front of them. I don't really know," Charles said. "Well, we have hostages to stop them from shooting us." Charles held up a finger to stop the person from speaking so that he could continue to talk. "You don't?" "The problem is that they don't care about us if you're considering us the hostages. We're merely tools being used to get what they want. If we're dead, we're dead. No big deal for them." "I see. Still not enough of a reason for me to cooperate with you, though." "That's fine. We don't really care. Our orders were to come here, find a leader of a country. They didn't actually say anything about succeeding or anything like that." "They really weren't that much of orders at all, were they, Nate?" "That too." This tall lady finally came around, walking into the light. It's still hard to see her, but what they did made them take a step back. She looked quite muscular, and like the type of person who wouldn't be afraid to use such muscles. "Why are you under the impression that I care about any of that? It isn't my business, and I don't know where this person is that you're looking for. Go tell whoever it is, your commander I'm guessing, that we have nothing to do with any of this." "Oh, we will, but if you could direct us towards a suspicious spot where our leader might be, or whoever it is we might find, that would probably make things go easier and we could go back to our captors and say, 'Hey, you were wrong, but maybe here.'" The lady gave Charles a long, hard stare and then pointed towards where the beach was. At least that's where they hoped the beach was. It was kind of hard to tell in this shack. "There have been a few boats out there shuttling along the beach. They don't belong to us, and we don't know why they're here." "Good to know, but why are you here?" "This is the base of my company's operation. We are an enterprise exploring old towns." "For what purpose, lady?" Charles asked. People love an old town that's made up to revitalize it while keeping it shabby and old. A real tourist pleaser, especially around places like this one, where tourists love to visit.
A money scam?
Charles asked.
It is not a scam, and we have done nothing wrong. Please leave and head towards the beach. If you're done here and that's really where you think this person you're searching for might be.
Nate opened his mouth to say something more, but Charles waved his hand towards him. This earned him a surprised look, but Nate shut his mouth.
You promise that this is the case?
I make no promises, but things are weird over there, so you may want to expect the unexpected.
Every time one of our people goes over there, they get chased off with people with big guns. You have a man here who chased us with a gun. We need to protect ourselves from those on the beach. Now please leave.
Charles moved towards the door, still doing his best to protect his vision by holding his hand up to block the light. He couldn't even see if Nate was following him out or not. Having left the shacks, and they went down to the beach, the two noticed a strange light coming from the right along the beach. Over there appeared to be more ill-put-together buildings, surrounded by a fence of some sort. Nate looked around for the military people who'd sent them on this mission, but they didn't appear. With a shrug, he began walking that way, with Charles a few steps behind him, both keeping quiet as they now approached what was a barbed wire fence and a gate that didn't have anyone guarding it.
Weird.
Is it really, Nate?
I mean, no weirder than what we have already been through recently, but still pretty weird,
Nate replied.
They weren't talking too quietly, and no one seems to have noticed them, Nate noted.
He wondered what to do if that woman had lied to them.
Do we go up to that gate and yell for someone, or try the gate itself? What do you think, Nate? If we go through the gate door, it will probably end poorly for us. But if we wait here, it will probably end poorly for us,
Charles said rather dryly, finishing the sentence.
That's what I was thinking, Charles. Let's just run at this gate and see what will happen. I'm tired of all of this, and any care or worry I had wore away a long while ago.
That sounds like something I would say, not you.
Yeah, well, I'm out of fucks to give.
They took a moment to look at one another, then turned and ran for the gate guarding the shacks and closing the barbed wire fence. They noted, as they approached, that it didn't look like it was locked, and even hung slightly ajar, as they ran right through it. End of part 9 of One Dead Man. Thank you for listening.